Hi, this is Attorney Mike Irvin coming to you from Chicago as usual. And I got this clip sent to me by everybody. It was a pretty wild one in 3B this morning. It's kind of tense. And I think they do a really good job. I think the judge does a great job. I think Deborah Davis does a great job. Even his defense attorney. Everyone's as this unfolds is thinking, what's the next reasonable thing to do for everybody involved? And it's kind of wild, but it is kind of dramatic as it develops, and it's interesting to see. I still don't know what's going on because this was just this morning. I don't know if the defendant reported to jail like he was ordered to or not. We shall find out over time, I'm sure. But let's just get this started. I'm going to try to interrupt a little less than usual here, just given the sort of tone of this particular appearance. It's not like super horrible or anything. It's just fairly serious and tense.
I think it's 11.
Oh, thereabouts. Mr. Kern, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, let's start with that one. Kamiko Newton is here. There are two files in People versus Tyler James Kern. File 21378 and 21294. He was charged with stalking and malicious destruction of property over $200. It was amended to malicious destruction of property. Mr. Schultz, I'm going to put you in the waiting room. Mute your microphone. So we have two cases that were an MDOP and MDOP 200 to 1,000. Mr. Kern is here. Autumn attempted to do a pre-sentence report, but not much success. Kamiko Newton is here. One of the problems with this case is it's more than a year old. His conduct occurred in February of 20 and January of 21.
In my brief stint as a prosecutor, I dealt with this thing, and he just said it's MDOP, which is malicious destruction of property. But really, in essence, it's a domestic, and that's where these things get very convoluted fast, and you'll see why.
So they're long ways away and separated by quite a bit of time. Mr. Kern hasn't done much to help himself. He was rude to our staff, rude to Autumn, and won't even tell us where he lives. Mr. John Bush is here on behalf of the defendant. Mr. Bush, what would you like us to know?
Mr. Kern, in my involvement, has always accepted the responsibility for the destruction of the property. I do believe throughout my representation, he's been essentially homeless. He's had some mailing addresses. He shares with me that I believe he's had maintained regular employment at Summit. There obviously needs to be some restitution in this case. I'm not sure that the facts go to the level where he needs to be incarcerated, but I would ask the court to impose fines and costs and restitution.
Ms. Davis, what would you like me to know?
Your Honor, could I have Ms. Newton speak if she would choose to first?
Please,
Yes,
I really would like to.
All right, Ms. Newton, you can't see me, but you and I have met before. This is Judge Middleton. I'm here at the courthouse.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. What would you like me to know?
I'm sorry. I'm a little emotional this morning. I got a lot on my mind. But I feel like, first off, the whole situation with, coming over here, destroying my property, knowing the situation I was, in before, I came and moved in my place, with me being in the shelter and everything. I felt like it was boldly disrespectful, seeing that I got kids here, to come over here and do my property like that. Not only to do it like that, but to basically put me at risk of possibly being able to lose my crib. He's not technically homeless because he's been at my house. he like when I allow him to come over here and spend time with his kids and visit his kids, I do that out of kindness of my heart because I know what he's going through and what he's dealing with. But when he come over here to visit his kids, he feels that he does not need to leave my house. He's here now. I'm outside. I'm sitting outside in my truck. I came out here to talk to y'all. Like, I don't feel like it's fair to me. You know, I know the case has been a while back, but, you know, I came out of my pocket to pay for the window. I'm still, I guess, sitting around waiting on the money that I came out of pocket to pay for the destruction of a property. And it's been emotional for me because it's my kids' dad. We have kids together. I do care about him, you know, as a person. But I'm to a point right now in my life to where I'm ready to move on with my life. I'm ready to just move on with my life and move past this. You know, I could file for a PPO, but, you know, I told him that I didn't want to do that, you know, because we got kids together. But I told him that if he can't respect my space or my property, then I would ask for one or request one, because I feel like I shouldn't be having to go through everything that I'm going through just to make sure somebody else is straight. That's not fair to me. And it's been stressful.
I was told that the restitution was $277 on the window. What about the door?
The doors, I guess my inner lock didn't have a lock on it. So they ended up, I guess, you know, ripping the board off. They ended up, they had to do a lot to it to fix it. But I never was given a price for my doors. For the damages of the door. So I have no idea, but whatever the damages were for the door, I've already came out of pocket and also paid for myself as well.
One of the problems with this case, and this is a recurring, frustrating problem, the police will get a warrant for someone's arrest, which they got in February of 21, and the defendant didn't get arrested until August. So 8 months passed, you're living in the same house, the magistrate did not put a no contact provision in there, so he's still in there. He's entitled. He was back and forth. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I did not try to interrupt you because I'm not rude like that. But when he had that warrant out, he would be here and then he would leave and then he would be here and so
then he
he's
would leave.
ducking the warrant and 8 months pass. He's not supposed to be there on your lease. He's going to end up getting you kicked out of there because he's not on the lease. He's in the house and you're out in the truck. What's wrong with this picture?
No, I really just came out here to get some air to kind of try to gather my thoughts before I talk to you.
Miss Davis, what's your thought here?
Frankly, I'm disgusted that he's taking advantage of Miss Newton a year after this has happened and throughout the year. I find it ridiculous that he couldn't cooperate with Miss Kiefer to have a pre-sentence investigation, and that my victim is sitting in a car while he's in her house, and it's very frustrating. I'm very frustrated. I'm frustrated for her because it's the cycle of power and control. And from what she's saying, I let him come over to see our kids because it's their father, but then he won't leave. He just shacks up in her house and won't leave. That is so unfair to her and the kids. And I don't know if he's working, but he needs to pay this rent. Not working. Okay. Is he babysitting your kids or anything?
So can I say that?
Not yet.
I'll let you get the last word, Mr. Kern, so just hang on.
Miss Newton, what does he do during the day then?
Well, he was working, but it got to a point to where, like, you know, he was starting to be up all night, and then he was starting to sleep all day and be up all night and sleep all day. He played a video game, which I don't care if he played a video game. I don't care. But it got to a point to where he was starting to tell, you know, people at work that he wasn't making it to work because he didn't have a sitter. But I'm at home with the kids all day. I wish I could go to work. I wish I had help to where I would be able to just get up and be able to go to work. But I can't because I'm a full-time stay-at-home mom. I'm in the house with my kids all day. And I'm not knocking nobody. I'm not judging nobody. And it's nobody's, you know, it's nobody's obligated to help me do anything. Nobody told me to sit up here and have kids. Nobody told me to do any of that. But, like, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I struggle like everybody else. I use my resources. I go to food banks. I go to the Salvation Army. I go to churches. Like, I try to literally make ends meet. I'm not gonna sit here and say that he hasn't helped me out, or, you know, if I needed something, I'm not gonna sit here and say, you know, he hasn't, you know, helped me out. But as far as whatever this is, because, like, I'm gonna be honest, like, we not together. You know, I don't want him to not be around his kids because we have kids together. But like I said, I'm ready to move on with my life and move past this. We're not together. I don't feel like he needs to keep being at my house. I haven't came to the courthouse and evicted him because I was told that if I evict him, I'm putting myself at risk of eviction because
That's true. He's not supposed to be in your unit. He's not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then it's like we get into it, you know, sometimes because I'm like, hey, you know, like 2 weeks ago, I got a write-up from the office because, you know, he keeps his van parked outside.
Let's hear from him.
Can I just say one more thing, Your Honor, before he does? I feel like we have put Miss Newton in a very dangerous situation, and I don't know how to rectify that other than to ask to have, if there is jail to be imposed, that it start immediately and that the officers go pick him up where he's at. If he's not working, he's just playing video games, he's not necessarily helping with the kids, I would ask that the court consider that as an option today for the safety of my victim and for the punishment for what's occurred here. Thank you.
I'm embarrassed at the posture of this case. And I'm the landlord-tenant judge, so I'm aware of the other action. Mr. Kern, everyone's been speaking about you. What would you like us to know?
I apologize to Ms. Kiefer for missing her call. I was at work, and I tried to call her back, but she called me private. I've only been off work for like 2 weeks because I want to get this taken care of before I do anything. And I apologize to my kid's mother, and I do help with my kids every day. I put my kids to sleep every night.
You understand that your living there is going to get her evicted from her apartment?
Yeah, I'm trying to keep a job and find my own place. So
You've had 3 months.
All right, stop. I've heard what I needed to hear. Mr. Kern, anything else you want to say?
No, sir.
Also mad at myself because somehow this got set for Zoom rather than live, and I'm not sure how that happened. Anyway, there's not much redeeming here. You got a terrible bunch of baggage on your criminal history. You were rude to my staff. You were rude to the probation staff. You blew off on keep. I
apologize.
All right. Well, you have 60 days to apologize because that's what I'm going to order. 60 days jail. Autumn, what do we have for credit? 59 days. You're going to send a little peace and quiet. Concurrent, both cases. You turn yourself in at the jail by 2 p.m. today.
Okay.
The fine is $0. There's a $75 crime victims' rights fee, a $50 state minimum fee, and $242.76 restitution.
Your Honor, can we
Yes.
have Central Dispatch send a standby officer?
Well, you can send somebody to pick him up on the warrant if you wish.
I'm not comfortable hanging up these phones with these
All
two.
right. Call him right now.
But I have to go to jail for 2 months, sir.
Yeah. I think you rich.
My thing is, My thing is, I've been trying to.
You're going to 60 days credit 1, giving 59 days to serve. You owe 125 plus 242.76 is 376.76.
Come here, talk to me, huh?
That's due by June 30th.
I love you, okay? I love you. You kiss me.
Sooner than later. In the other case, 2194, I also order 60 days, credit 59, concurrent with the other case. They're going to come pick you up in a short time.
Oh, I'm sorry, Honor. I have to go. I have to be able to see my kids. I got so much to take care of. I could turn myself in today at 2.
Well, I could make it 120 days or 180 days if you'd like that.
I just want to be able to
Yeah.
Sir,
You smashed her windows out, you stalk her, you're living there in her house. She's about to get evicted. You sit around and play video games. You're not working. You're not paying any child support. You're rude to my staff. You blow off the probation department.
I didn't mean to be.
Don't say anything else or I'll put a couple zeros on your sentence. So get your toothbrush and get ready to go with the police.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Don't hang up.
I have to go, sir. I apologize for anything.
You stay right where you are.
Wow. Wow.
Miss Newton, can you hear me? Kamiko, would you unmute your microphone?
He's getting in his van. He pulling out my apartment complex. He leaving.
Yeah.
He leaving.
I understand. What kind
He
of
leaving out. He leaving out right now.
Is Tyler current?
He trying to pull out.
I'm not on the phone with Central Dispatch. They're sending somebody.
All right.
He pulling out of my complex right now.
What kind of van is it, Kamiko?
It's a blue van. It's a Pontiac van. It's like a light blue and a dark blue. I'm trying to see which way he going when he pull out.
She's trying to see which way he's
hold
going.
on. He might be going toward, I don't know. He pulling out though, and the only way he gonna go is left. So I don't know if he's going towards town but he left everything his that is in my house.
He just took off.
He gone. He drove off. And that means he probably not gonna turn himself in.
No, he's probably not.
Well,
Shame on me for not doing this live, and I'm still.
You know what? And I'm sorry because I would have drove up there today, but I was gonna have to bring my kids, and I know with COVID going on.
Where are your kids now?
You know, my kid. Well, I'm back in my apartment. I'm in here with them right now, but he pulled off. This is my thing. I'm sorry.
You stay up fine, Kamiko. Don't hang up. I've got to do some other cases, but we're going to try to bring this to a close, so don't go away.
Your Honor, do I need to stay hooked up at this point?
No, John. We're going to catch him and take him to jail. I did a month probation. We're going to revisit this for his failing to comply with my order, and the sentence is going to be increased from 60 days to something else. But we'll see if Sturgis PD can say this out once again.
All done. Thank you, Your Honor.
Give you an opportunity to say anything, but I'm sure you're in complete agreement with what just happened.
Yep, I'm good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. Next, we're going to address.
Okay, I stayed out of the way of that because I just didn't want to step on anything. It just really broke down, and I wanted everyone to have a sense of how it did. I found the whole thing fascinating. The most surprising thing to me is the defendant saying to the judge, "I'm sorry, I can't stay." I mean, prior to that, we have Deborah saying, "No, we got to go get him right now." While he's on the Zoom, which is very confrontational, she's like, "Get an officer out there." And Judge Middleton is very, I mean, he is steaming mad, but he keeps his composure the whole time. It was sort of interesting. He's like, "Well, go ahead, have someone pick him up. There's a warrant for him. I just sentenced him. Go ahead. What are we waiting for?" Not in a bad way, but just like, don't let me stop you. I just sentenced him, and there's a warrant for him. So yeah, go pick him up. I thought all that was just really wild. And then he's saying right there to the judge, "I can't stay." Right after he gets sentenced. I don't know how much more contemptuous you can be. And another thing that's sort of interesting about all this stuff, I said it earlier, it was a domestic. It really technically isn't domestic. I mean, the nature of the issue is what I mean. There's no domestic charge. I just thought about that. I don't want to say something as the charge was malicious destruction of property. He apparently pled guilty to it and says, "I did it and I feel bad about it." Okay. This 60 days in jail is a lot for malicious destruction of property, but there's a lot of other water under the bridge here. The judge was saying he was rude to his staff. Judge is aware that because he's handling an eviction proceeding, so this woman's going to get evicted from her place with her kids because he's there and he's not on the lease. So there are a lot of aggravating factors. You'd be hard pressed to get 60 days in jail on a malicious destruction of property if you just pled guilty to it and said, "Okay, I'll do the best I can," in front of Judge Middleton. There are a lot of other circumstances going on here. And he's just so frustrated because he doesn't have him live for just this reason. He doesn't want him to run. The guy does, I will say this, the defendant does say, and nobody believes him, the defendant does say, "I will turn myself in at 2:00. That is a correct thing to say, but he immediately doesn't believe that. Who would? Then why do you have to leave? Then why do you immediately have to leave? The only reason you immediately have to leave is because you were on Zoom and saw that they're sending police officers out to arrest you immediately. That's the only reason you have to leave at that moment. Prior to that, he didn't have to leave. Prior to those developments, he was just fine there. So there's probably more to this call, but I had my own call today, and I just have another minute or two because what they did, and I thought this was really wise. Nobody lost their cool, but I thought this was really wise. They kept her on the phone the whole time for safety purposes, and they can monitor her. And then later in the call, they go back and revisit it. So I'm gonna keep playing from here, but it's just a couple more minutes at the end of the call. I thought it was very impressive that they went back. They had a bunch of other business. I didn't watch it all, but they had a bunch of other business they had to conduct, but kept her on so that they could monitor what's going on at her house.
Deborah, how are we doing?
I have not received any confirmation, so I can make a call to mails and see if there's any updates, or Central Dispatch would probably be a better option. That way.
All right, I don't want to leave Kamiko just dangling here.
Well, and I guess if she's in her apartment now and she could lock her door, that makes me.
I'm here if you can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're looking for him right now. They may have picked him up. We don't know. If you see him come back, immediately call 911. Ms. Davis is in communication with the Sturgis Police Department. I told him to go turn himself in there.
See that part.
But he did not. All right. You stay there and stay safe. And any issue, you immediately call 911. They're aware of the search situation.
I will, and I have a question. How long will has he made any payments on the window or do I still have to wait for him to make payments to
He
receive my
has,
payment?
he has until June 30th to pay that.
Okay.
All right. All right.
And Kamiko, you can contact Marissa. She's been in contact with her. It's fine. Marissa can certainly touch base with her. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Let me know if you pick him up. I've got a very busy afternoon also.
I'm glad you are going to get lunch before it. Long
I
lunch.
wasn't sure if we were going to go all the way till 1 o'clock.
Well, there you have it. Kind of a tense situation. I heard that I got all the stuff. This happens. I get messages from you guys, which is great throughout the day. And then I'll be tipped off to something. But meanwhile, I've got, I'd court myself. So I had to go do that. I'm sorry I missed him getting back on the call. I'm reading in the chat that I don't know if it's correct or what who has what sources of information. It appears that he hasn't showed up yet. I don't know. I'm not saying this definitively, but that's what it seems to be happening in the chat. There were a couple. It was pretty tense, and I didn't want to go there with it. There were a couple things that actually made me laugh, but I held it back. One is but now afterwards, and we've seen it. You can do it. One is I think it's John Bush, the defense attorney, saying, "Do I have to stay for this?" There's not a lot of good I can do. He just got sentenced in front of me, and then ran on the judge. I mean, I've got nothing. I got nothing to give you anymore. And he's like, "No, you can go." And the other one, in a similar vein, is when she is the look on Deborah Davis's face, and when she asked a reasonable question like, hey, did he pay the restitution on the window yet? And Deborah's like, no. She didn't say it, but she just, yeah, I don't think that's happening anytime soon. So that was sort of interesting. Let me run through. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to do super chats. I usually like to do it as we go, as you know, but I didn't want to on this one because it was just sort of tense. And if you disrupt the flow on this, you kind of miss you kind of miss what's going on. So that's the way I did it. But I always love the super chats. That's really cool. As long as I can find them. Yes, Debbie had some eye rolling in there, and rightfully so. Although as usual, and I know you guys like her. I mean, I think she was very professional on top of it and made all the right calls here. She was really going out of her way to protect a victim here. Judge was certainly on board with it. I was impressed with both of them keeping their composure under the circumstances. It wasn't a time to freak out, but there was a lot going on, from barking dogs to a defendant just saying, "No, I'm leaving," to to an upset victim, and everyone just stayed cool, handled it appropriately, and did the next best thing. It was really cool. Thank you, Peggy. $5. So glad you watched this. I am too, and I wouldn't have because I had other stuff going on. But when I get enough messages, I think, okay, I gotta look. And I did, and I'm like, okay. that was an interesting court appearance. Yes, Evan. Thank you very much. $5. Bob, you saw it this morning? Yeah, that's my viewers keep good tabs on 3B. They really do. And several other courts. All right, I'm looking. Jail isn't very convenient for me. He's like that guy. Yeah, it is. It's always the same, isn't it? Yeah, the judge sends him to 60. You see, that doesn't work for me. I got to see my kids. Your kids are there. So I don't know how leaving is helping you see your kids, but your kids were at the location according to the victim. So that's where we are. I don't think that was actually his motivation. Manda, $2. Thank you for Deb being the alert. Yep, it is reminiscent of the witness being in the room with the victim, and the probably the case that most people first learned about 3B from. It's very similar scenario. Tony Z, $5. He came back online in this video, Mike. I feel bad that I don't have that. I was doing something else when it happened, I'm sure. I grabbed what I could. But if there's something interesting there, I will check it out. I'm curious if he ever gets picked up. I would think he gets picked up at this point, one way or the other, either off a warrant or they find him. They have a good description. They weren't that far off, but yeah, easy for me to say. I'm not in law enforcement. All right, let me see here. Thank you, Peggy. Glad you got this one. Did I already do that one? All right. Well, that'll cover it. Thanks everybody for coming out. I just thought this was a fascinating court appearance, and I wanted to do it right away.